My wife rejected me for 4 years just because she wanted to stay faithful to her lover, so I filed for divorce the day our kid turned 18. I'm 46 years old. Regional sales manager for an industrial machinery company. Good money, music, stable career, the kind of job that lets you sleep at night. Married for 17 years. Music. 2 kids, oldest is 20, youngest just turned 18 last month. From the outside, music. I had everything figured out. Nice house in the suburbs. Decent car. A wife who smiled in photos behind closed doors. I was living in a graveyard. 4 years ago, something changed. Not gradually, overnight. One day, we had a normal marriage. The next, I was living with a stranger who happened to share my last name. The intimacy, just music, stopped. And I'm not just talking about lovemaking, though. Yeah. That disappeared. 2. Music. I'm talking about everything. The hand-holding, the good night kiss, the random hug while making coffee, all of it gone. Music. At first, I thought it was stress. She worked as a branch manager for a credit union, and I figured maybe the job was getting to her, so I tried to help. I took over more of the household music stuff, cooked dinner more often, made sure she had time to decompress. Music. Didn't push for anything physical, just wanted her to feel supported. Nothing changed. Then I thought maybe it was health-related. Hormones, menopause, music, something medical. I suggested she see a doctor. She said she would, never did. I brought it up again. She got defensive. Not everything needs to be fixed, you know. So, I backed off, gave her space, figured she'd come to me when she was ready. Months passed, then a year, then 2. I tried talking to her. Really talking. Music. Bridget. I feel like we're roommates, not partners. Can we work on this together? She'd sigh. Music, like I was being dramatic. I'm just tired. Work is exhausting. You're being needy. Needy? That's what she called it when I asked my own wife to act like she gave a damn about me. I suggested coos therapy. She shot it down immediately. We don't need therapy. We're fine. Fine. That was music. Her favorite word. Everything was always fine, even when it clearly wasn't. I planned music date nights, booked reservations at restaurants she used to love. She'd cancel last minute or spend the entire dinner on her phone. Sorry, music work stuff. I bought her gifts, wrote her notes, tried to recreate the things that music used to make her happy. She'd smile politely and say, "Thank you," the way you'd thank a stranger who held the door open. Every music attempt was met with the same wall of indifference. Like my needs were an inconvenience. Like wanting a connection with my own wife was somehow unreasonable. The worst part, she wasn't even mean about it. She didn't yell or insult me. She just didn't care. And music somehow that hurt more than anger ever could. I started questioning everything. Was I unattractive? Had I let myself go? I looked in the mirror. Sure, I'd aged, but I wasn't falling apart. I still went to the gym 3 times a week. Music. Still dressed well. Still took care of myself. Was I boring? Maybe, but I'd been the same person she married. If I was boring now, I was boring then, too. Was I too demanding? Music. I replayed every conversation in my head, analyzing my tone, my words, wondering if I'd somehow pushed her away without realizing it. That's what neglect does to you. It makes you think you're the problem. Music. But here's what finally clicked for me. About 2 years into this nightmare, she wasn't music confused. She wasn't going through a phase. She wasn't dealing with some mysterious medical issue. She was comfortable. She had a husband who paid half the bills, music maintained the house, showed up to family events, and played his role. She had all the benefits of marriage without any of the effort. And why would she? Music changed that. I wasn't going anywhere. I'd proven that by staying, by trying, by begging for scraps like a dog under the table, she'd train me to accept less and I'd let her. That realization, music hit me like a freight train. I wasn't losing my mind. I wasn't imagining the distance. She was choosing this. Choosing to withhold affection, choosing to ignore my needs, choosing to coast on my commitment while offering nothing in return. So, I made a choice of my own. I stopped asking, stopped trying, stopped giving a damn about earning her approval. Instead, music, I started paying attention. That's when I noticed the pattern. The late Tuesday nights at the gym that somehow took 3 hours. The phone she suddenly music kept face down on every surface. The new perfume she never wore around me. The way she'd smile at her screen while typing. Then quickly close whatever she was looking at when I walked into the room. She thought I'd stopped paying attention. She was wrong. I didn't install spyware. Didn't hire a private investigator. Didn't rummage through her phone while she was sleeping like some paranoid lunatic. I just did something I hadn't done in years. I actually looked at what was right in front of me. Tuesday nights became her thing. I'm hitting the gym after work, she'd say, grabbing her gym bag around 5 p.m. She'd roll in around 9:30, sometimes 10, 4.5 hours for a workout. Sure. One night, she came home and kissed our youngest on the forehead. Routine mom stuff. I was in the music kitchen and when she walked past me, I caught it. Cologne, not perfume. Cologne, the kind men wear. She smelled like she'd been pressed up against someone. Good workout? I asked casually. Yeah, really pushed myself tonight, she said, already heading upstairs. I stood there holding a dish towel and something inside me just clicked. Girls' nights started happening more frequently, too. Every other Friday, like music, clockwork, she'd get dressed up, makeup, hairstyled, outfit that showed effort. I'd watch her check herself in the mirror 3 times before leaving for her girlfriends, right? She'd come home around midnight, sometimes later. Always with the same excuse. We lost track of time. Meanwhile, music at home, she couldn't be bothered to brush her hair before coming downstairs for breakfast. The phone was the real tell, though. She'd always been casual about it before. Left it on the counter. Didn't care if I saw notifications. But suddenly, it was face music down everywhere. Coffee table, nightstand, kitchen counter, always face down. And she was on it constantly, texting during dinner, smiling, music at the screen while we watched TV. I'd walk into a room and she'd close whatever app she had opened so fast you'd think it would shatter music the screen. One night, I came downstairs to grab water. It was past 1 a.m. She was on the couch with her phone, grinning at the screen, music like a teenager. The second she heard me, the smile vanished. She locked the phone and set it down. Can't sleep? I asked. Just scrolling, she said, suddenly exhausted. Heading to bed now. She wasn't tired. She was caught. The confirmation came on a Wednesday afternoon. I'd forgotten my laptop charger and came home early from the office. She didn't know I was there. Music. I walked in and heard her voice from the kitchen on the phone, but not her work voice, not her mom voice. Something different, softer, flirty. Music. I know, I wish I could, too. She was saying a pause, then a laugh. The kind of laugh I hadn't heard from her in years. Stop. You're terrible. Music. No. He won't notice. He never does. I backed out of the house before music she saw me. Sat in my car for 20 minutes just breathing. Here's the thing. I didn't feel angry. I thought I would. Thought I'd want to storm in there, confront music her, demand answers, but I didn't. What I felt was relief, clarity. For 4 years, music been twisting myself into knots, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Why wasn't I enough? What had I done to make her stop loving me? Turns out, it was never about me. She wasn't withholding because she was stressed or tired or going through hormonal changes. She was withholding because she was getting what she needed somewhere else. Simple as that. Everything I'd been begging for, the affection, the attention, music, the effort, she was giving it to someone else. She just didn't have anything left over for me. Or maybe she did and she chose not to. Either way, the result was the same. I drove to my buddy Greg's music house that night. He's an attorney, not divorced specifically, but he knew people. We sat in his garage with beers I didn't drink, and I told him I needed a referral, music, someone discreet, someone good. You sure about this? Greg asked. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, I said. The attorney's name was Phyllis. Sharp. No nonsense. Music mid? 50s. I met her the following week at her office. Told her the situation. Dead marriage, music, suspected affair, 2 kids, kids' ages. She asked, taking notes. Music. 20 and 17. She looked up. How close is the 7 year? Old to 18? Birthdays in 11 months. Phyllis set down her pen. Then you wait. File the day after. Trust me. Music. Child support, custody arrangements, all of it complicates things. You've endured 4 years. You can endure 1 more. Use the time to prepare. I opened a separate bank account, the music next day. Started moving money. Not hiding it. Just separating it. My income. Music. My savings. I documented everything. Joint assets, household expenses, her spending patterns. I didn't need ammunition for court. I just needed clarity. Every night I'd come home and see her texting, smiling, living her double life, and I'd think 365 days, then 348, then 301. I could survive anything for a countdown. That's when I realized something else. She had no idea I'd checked out. She thought everything was fine. Thought she'd successfully trained me to accept the scrap she offered. Thought I'd stay forever because I was too weak, too music invested, too afraid to leave. She was betting on my silence. I was betting on patience. 365 days. That's all I had left to endure. I could survive anything for 365 days. Even living with a stranger who wore my wife's face. The clock started ticking. Living with someone you're planning to divorce is surreal. You go through all the motions, pass the music salt at dinner, ask about their day, coordinate schedules while knowing it's all temporary. Like being an actor in a play where only you know the final scene. I became a ghost in my own home. Present but not there. I showed up for family dinners, attended our youngest soccer games, took out the music trash, paid the bills. But emotionally, I'd already moved out. The strange part, Bridget didn't notice. Or if she did, she didn't care. She was too wrapped up in her own world to see that I'd stopped participating in ours. The affair got bolder as the months went on. She stopped being careful. Tuesday nights turned into Thursday nights, too. Girls' night became a weekly event. She'd leave the music house in full makeup and heels to supposedly grab groceries. Come back 2 hours later with one bag. One time she left her phone on the bathroom counter while she showered. It buzzed. I glanced at it, not snooping. Music. It was just there. A text preview lit up the screen. Can't stop thinking about last night. I walked away. Didn't need to music read more. Already knew enough. She was getting comfortable. Arrogant. Even like she'd successfully pulled off the perfect crime and was now getting sloppy because she thought she'd never get caught. She probably figured I was too passive, too. The loyal dog who'd stay no matter how many times she kicked him. Meanwhile, music was preparing. I met with Phyllis every 3 weeks. We refined the strategy. Since we lived in a no-fault state, the affair was legally irrelevant. What mattered was asset division, clean separation, and making sure everything was documented properly. I made copies of financial statements, bank records, tax returns, mortgage documents. Everything went into a folder I kept in my car, then transferred to a safety deposit box I'd opened in the next town over. I wasn't hiding music assets, just making sure I had proof of everything. Where the money came from, where it went, what was mine, what was ours, what was hers. Phyllis helped me understand the value of the house, our retirement accounts, music, the cars. We mapped out what a fair division looked like so there'd be no surprises. No room for her to claim I'd blindsided her or hidden anything. You're being very methodical about this, Phyllis said during one meeting. I've had 4 years to think it through, I replied. Music. The hardest part wasn't the logistics. It was the acting. Sitting across from her at music dinner, watching her text under the table while I asked about her day. Hearing her talk about how exhausting work was when I knew damn well where her energy was actually going. There were moments I almost broke. Late nights when I'd lie awake in our bed, my side of it anyway since she'd started sleeping as far from me as physically possible and wonder if I should just confront her, give her an ultimatum, force the issue. But then I'd remember she had music. 4 years to choose me. Every single day for 4 years. She woke up and chose not to try. Chose to keep me around music as a utility while giving her best to someone else. Why would confronting her change that? No, I'd made my music decision. I was leaving, but I was doing it on my terms. Clean, prepared, final. The countdown became a ritual. Every morning, I'd mark another day off in my head. 287 days, 215 days, 163 days. I joined a gym not to run into her affair partner or play detective, music just to take care of myself. Started cooking better meals, read more, picked up hobbies I'd abandoned years ago. Music. I was preparing for my next chapter, the one where I wasn't defined by someone else's indifference. Our oldest came home from college for Thanksgiving. At dinner, he looked music between Bridget and me and asked, "You guys okay? You seem quiet." "We're fine, music sweetheart," Bridget said with a smile. "Just tired." I nodded, said nothing. Our son went back to campus 2 days later, none the wiser. Christmas was theater. We did the whole routine. Tree, presents, family photos. Bridget posted them on social media with captions about being blessed and grateful. I smiled for the camera and thought, 89 days left. Our youngest music 18th birthday was in March. The date circled in my mind like a beacon. March 14th, the day everything would change. I had the divorce papers music drafted in February. Phyllis walked me through every page. Asset division, separation timeline, no fault filing, clean, simple, airtight. I signed them in her office. "You sure you don't want to wait until after you tell her to sign?" Phyllis asked. "No, I want them ready. The moment I tell her, I want it to be real, not a threat, not a negotiation." Done. The week before the birthday, I started moving some of my things out of our bedroom. Small music stuff, clothes I didn't wear often, personal items. Putting them in the guest room because I've been having trouble sleeping and don't want to disturb you. She didn't question it. Probably relieved she'd have more space for herself. March 14th arrived. Music. We had a small party for our youngest. Close family, a few friends. I grilled burgers. Bridget made a cake. We sang music happy birthday. Our kid blew out the candles and grinned, officially an adult. That music night, after everyone left and our youngest went out with friends to celebrate, I sat in my home office, music, the one I'd been sleeping in for the past week, and looked at the divorce papers. Signed, sealed, music ready. Tomorrow morning, I'd hand them to her. I didn't sleep that night, not from nerves, music, from anticipation. This 4-year nightmare was finally ending. I played the game, stayed music silent, waited for the right moment, and now the moment had arrived. At 7 a.m., I walked into the kitchen. Bridget was making coffee, same routine we'd had for 17 years. Music. Hair in a messy bun, still in her robe, scrolling through her phone. She didn't look up when I entered. "We need to talk," I said. She glanced at me with mild annoyance, the way you'd look at someone interrupting your morning. "Can it wait? I have an early meeting." I placed the folder on the kitchen table between us. "No," I said calmly. "It can't." She sat down her phone and looked at the folder like it was a piece of junk mail. "What's this?" "Divorce papers." I pulled out the chair across from her and sat down. "Music. I'm filing today. Everything's already signed." The words hung in the air for a few seconds. "Music." She stared at me, waiting for the punchline. When it didn't come, her expression shifted from annoyed to confused. "Music. What are you talking about?" "I'm divorcing you. It's done." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Is this some kind of joke? Did Greg put you music up to this?" "Open the folder." She didn't move. Just kept looking at me like I'd grown a second head. "This is insane. You can't just." "I already did." I slid the folder across the table toward her. "Look at it." Her hand shook slightly as she opened it. I watched her eyes scan the first page. Legal letterhead. Her name. My name, petition for dissolution of marriage. Her face went pale. "You're serious?" "Completely. When did you? How long have you been planning this?" "Long enough." She flipped through the pages. "Music." Not really reading, just trying to process. Then she closed the folder and shoved it back toward me. "No. No. This is crazy. We can talk about this. Whatever's going on, we can music fix it." "There's nothing to fix. It's over." "Over?" Her voice cracked, just like that. "You don't even want to try?" I almost laughed at that. 4 years of me trying music, and now she wanted to talk about effort. "I tried," I said evenly. "For 4 music years I tried. You weren't interested." "That's not fair, isn't it?" I leaned back in my chair. "When was the last time you touched me, kissed me, looked at me like you actually wanted to be married to me?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. Couldn't answer because we music both knew the truth. "I begged you." I continued. "I asked you to go to counseling. You refused. I planned dates. You canceled. I tried to talk to you about what was wrong. Music. You said I was being needy, so I stopped. And you didn't even notice. I've been stressed for 4 years. Come on, Bridget. Don't insult both of us." Her eyes filled with tears. Real ones this music time, not the crocodile tears she'd used before when she wanted something. "So what? You just give up? You throw away 17 years without even fighting for it. I fought for it every single day for the past 4 years. You chose not to show up." She stood up abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. "This is ridiculous. You can't just decide our marriage is over without even." "I can." And I did. I stayed seated, calm. "The papers are filed. My attorney has everything." "This isn't a negotiation." "Your attorney?" She looked genuinely shocked. "How long have you been planning this?" "Does it matter?" "Yes." "Music. It matters. You've been lying to me." "I've been lying." I let that hang there for a moment. "That's rich." She went quiet. Something flickered in her eyes. Guilt, music maybe, or fear that I knew more than I was letting on, but she didn't take the bait. "We can go to counseling now," she said, her tone shifting to desperate. "Music. I know I haven't been the best wife, but I can change. We can fix this now." "Now you want counseling now that I'm leaving." I didn't realize how bad things were. "You didn't realize because you didn't care to notice." "Music. That's not true." Her voice rose. "I love you. I've always loved you." I stood up then looked her directly music in the eyes. "You love what I provide. The house, the stability, the image music, of a perfect marriage. But you don't love me. You haven't in years." "How can you say that?" "Because it's true and we both know it." She grabbed my arm as I turned to leave. "Please don't do this. We have a family. We have history. Music. You can't just throw that away." I gently removed her hand. "I'm not throwing it away. You did that a long time ago. I'm just finally acknowledging it. What about the kids? They're adults. They'll adjust. Music. People are going to ask questions. Let them." She tried a different approach, her voice softening. "What if I music promise to change? What if I show you I can be better? You had 4 years to show me. I'm done waiting." Music. The tears came harder now. "I don't understand what changed." "Why now?" Our youngest Music turned 18 yesterday. I was waiting for that. Her face went from sad to horrified. You've been planning this for, oh my God. You've been planning this? Yes. While I thought everything was fine, everything wasn't fine. You just didn't care enough to notice it wasn't. She sank back into her chair. Music staring at the folder like it might disappear if she looked at it hard enough. What happens now? I'm moving into the guest room permanently. We'll share the house until the divorce is finalized. Music. But we're done. Separate lives. How long? Attorney says. Music. 6 to 8 weeks if we don't contest anything. And if I do, if I refuse to sign, I looked at her calmly. Then it takes longer. But the result is the same. I'm leaving either Music way. She was crying openly now, hands covering her face. I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you'd give up on us. I didn't give up. You did years ago. I'm just accepting reality. I left her sitting there at the kitchen table and went upstairs to the guest room. Music, my room now. I could hear her crying through the walls. Part of me felt bad, the part that still remembered what we used to be before everything died. But the bigger part, the part that had spent 4 years being rejected, Music ignored, and treated like an obligation, felt nothing but relief. I'd said, Music, what needed to be said. The papers were filed. The countdown was over. Now came the part I hadn't fully Music prepared for. Living under the same roof with someone who just realized they'd lost. My phone buzzed an hour later. Text from Bridget. Can we please talk about this? Really talk? I didn't respond. Another Music text. I know I messed up. Please give me a chance to fix this. I turned off my phone. That evening, I came downstairs to grab water. She was sitting in the living room, eyes red, tissues scattered around her. She looked up when she saw me. Is there Music someone else? She asked quietly. Is that why you're doing this? I stared at her for a long moment. After everything, after 4 years of her having someone else while I begged for scraps, she had the audacity to ask me that. I didn't answer. Just grabbed my water and walked back upstairs. But as I closed the door behind me, I heard her whisper, please. Music, don't leave me. Too late, I thought. 4 years too late. The next few weeks were surreal. We existed in the same house but lived separate lives. Music. I kept to the guest room, came and went as I pleased. She tried everything to change my mind. First came the domestic routine. Music. Suddenly, she was cooking my favorite meals. Hot roast on Wednesday. Music, lasagna on Friday. Meals she hadn't bothered to make in years. She'd set the table, light candles, Music, act like we were on a date. I'd eat, thank her politely, and go back to my room. Then came the nostalgia play. She'd bring up old memories, our honeymoon, the day our oldest was born, Music, vacations we'd taken. Remember when we went to that bed and breakfast in Vermont? We should go back. Just the two of us. Music. I remember. I'd say that was a long time ago. It doesn't have to be. Her voice would crack. We can get that back. No, Music, we can't. She started dressing up around the house. Full makeup to make coffee, hair styled when she knew I'd be home, wearing outfits that actually required effort. The kind of effort she'd been putting in for her Tuesday night gym sessions, but never for me. It was pathetic, honestly. Not because she was trying, but because it was so transparent. She wasn't attracted to me. She was terrified of losing her comfortable life. Word got out, of course. Small social circle, big mouths. Music. Within 2 weeks, half our friends knew we were divorcing. The calls started coming in. Music. Greg's wife, Monica, called me at work. I heard about you and Bridget. Are you sure you're doing the right thing? Marriage is hard work. I worked at it for 4 years. I said she didn't, but you, Music, can't just throw away all that history. Monica, I appreciate the concern, but this isn't up for debate. Bridget's sister, Ruth, showed up at the house one evening. I answered the door. We need to talk, she said, pushing past me. About Music, about you destroying my sister's life. I almost laughed. I'm destroying her life. That's interesting. She's a wreck. She can barely function. And you're just cold. Like. None of this matters. It matters. That's why I'm leaving. You know what your Music problem is? Ruth crossed her arms. You're selfish. You think marriage is supposed to Music be easy? That it's all romance and butterflies. Real marriage takes work. You're right, I said calmly. It does take work. I did the work. She didn't. Now I'm done. You're going to regret this, maybe, but staying would guarantee regret. Music. So, I'll take my chances. She left in a huff. Bridget, who'd been listening from the kitchen, came out crying. See, everyone thinks you're making a mistake. Everyone isn't living my life. Our oldest called from music college. Bridget had gotten to him first. Played the victim card hard. Dad. Music. Mom says you won't even try counseling. Why not just try? I did try. For years, she wasn't interested. Music then. People change. Maybe she's ready now. She's ready because I'm leaving. That's not change. That's fear. There was a long pause. Are you sure there's no way to fix this? I'm sure. Son. I'm sorry you're caught in the middle, but this is between your mother and me. He didn't push further, but I could hear the disappointment in his voice. That hurt worse than anything Bridget had said. Music. The worst part was watching her spin the narrative to everyone else. She was the confused wife who didn't realize how unhappy I was. She wanted to fight for the marriage, but I was refusing music to communicate. She was trying so hard, and I was being stubborn and cold. Some people bought it. I didn't bother correcting them. The truth would come out eventually, or it wouldn't. Music. Either way, I didn't need their approval. 3 weeks after I filed, she changed tactics. I was in my room reading when she knocked. Can I come in? It's late. Please, I just want to talk. Against my better judgment, I let her in. She was wearing a nightgown I bought her 2 anniversaries ago, the one she'd never worn. Hair down, makeup done. At 11 p.m., she sat on the edge of the bed. Music close. I've been thinking. She started about what you said about me not trying. You're right. I took you for granted. Okay. But I want to change that. She put her hand on my leg. Music. I want to show you I can be the wife you need. I removed her hand. Bridget, don't. I miss you. Music. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I miss us. There is no us. Not anymore. There could be. She leaned music closer. Let me prove it to you. The desperation was radiating off her. This wasn't desire. This wasn't attraction. Music. This was a woman throwing a Hail Mary because she'd realized her comfortable life was ending. If you'd wanted me, I said quietly. You had 4 years. This isn't about desire. It's about fear. You're not attracted to me. You're scared of being alone. That's not true. It is. And we both know it. I stood up. You need to leave. Tears started rolling down her face, taking mascara with them. Is greater than music. Is greater than. Is there someone else? Is that why you're doing this? I almost laughed. After 4 years of her having someone else, she had the audacity to ask me that. I didn't answer. Music, just walked to the door and held it open. She stood there for a moment, waiting for me to say something, anything that would give her hope. When I didn't, Music walked past me into the hallway. I'm not giving up, she said. You should. I closed the door. The next morning, I woke up to find her car gone. She'd left early, probably to avoid facing me. On the kitchen counter was a note. Staying at Ruth's Music for a few days. Need space to think. Good. Maybe she'd finally start processing reality. My phone rang around noon. Unknown number. Hello. Is this her husband? A music man's voice. Unfamiliar, every muscle in my body tensed. Who's asking? Someone who thinks music you should know what you're walking away from. Then he hung up. I stared at the phone, music, heart pounding. What the hell was that? I blocked the number immediately. Didn't music call back. Didn't tell Bridget about it. Didn't give it a second of my energy. Whoever he was, and I had a pretty good idea, he was music irrelevant. This was never about him. It was about a marriage that died years ago and a wife who only noticed when she started losing control. Bridget came back 3 days later. She looked exhausted, like she'd been crying the entire time. She found me in the kitchen making dinner. We need to talk, she said. Nothing left to say. Please, just hear me out. I kept chopping vegetables. Didn't look at her. I know I haven't been a good wife. I know I shut you out. I was wrong. Music. Her voice was shaking, but I want to fix this. I'll do counseling. I'll do whatever it takes. Please don't give up on us. I'm not giving up. I already gave music for 4 years. You weren't interested. I'm interested now because I'm leaving, not because you actually want me. That's not. She stopped herself. Why won't you tell me what I did wrong? If I knew music, maybe I could fix it. I finally looked at her. You stopped being my wife. That's what you did wrong. Music. And no amount of sudden effort now is going to change 4 years of indifference. Was it the intimacy? Is that what this is about? It was everything. The intimacy, music, the affection, the partnership, all of it. You withdrew from this marriage and you expected me to just accept it. I didn't mean to. Yes, music did. You meant every single rejection, every dismissal. Every time you chose to put effort into everything except us. I set down the knife. You were comfortable. You had a music husband who paid bills, showed up, played his role. Why would you change that? She was crying again. If you just tell me what changed, when did you stop loving me? I didn't stop loving you. You stopped caring if I did. The divorce moved forward. Phyllis Music was right. No minor children made everything simpler. No custody battles, no child support calculations, just asset division, which we'd already mapped out. Bridget's attorney tried to drag things out, probably hoping time would change my mind. It didn't. 6. Music weeks after I filed. We were in mediation. She sat across from me, eyes pleading while our attorneys discussed splitting retirement accounts and selling music the house. You don't have to do this, she whispered during a break. We can still stop this. No. Music, we can't. Why won't you fight for us? I did fight. You just weren't music paying attention. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday. Ironically, a Tuesday, her old gym music night. I signed the papers in Phyllis's office. Felt nothing but relief. I moved out the following weekend, rented a 2-bedroom apartment across town. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. No shared spaces, no walking on eggshells, no pretending. On my last day at the house, Bridget Music stood in the doorway watching me load boxes into my truck. I still don't understand, she said. Music. What did I do that was so unforgivable? I almost told her. Almost laid it all out. The affair, the lies, the cologne smell, the phone calls I'd overheard. But what would that accomplish? She'd deny it or justify it or flip it around to make me the bad guy for spying. She'd get closure, get to explain herself, music, get to play victim even harder. No, she didn't deserve that. You stopped being my wife years ago, I said. I'm just finally accepting it. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. I drove away and didn't look back. The first month was strange. I'd wake up and forget where I was. Reach for someone who wasn't there. Not because I missed her, but because habit is powerful. But then I'd remember I was free. Genuinely, music completely free. I started living again. Went on dates. Nothing serious. Music. Just remembering what it felt like to be wanted. Picked up guitar again, something I'd abandoned years ago. Traveled, read books, did things because I wanted to, not because I was trying to save a marriage that was already dead. Our oldest came to music visit one weekend. We grabbed dinner, just the two of us. You seem different, he said. Lighter? I feel lighter. Do you regret it? No, I regret waiting so long. He nodded slowly. Mom keeps asking me if you've mentioned why you left. Like there's some secret reason. There's no secret. The marriage was dead. I was the only one trying to resuscitate it. She says she would have tried if she'd known how bad things were. She knew. She just didn't care until it affected her. Music. 3 months after the divorce, I ran into Bridget at a grocery store. She looked smaller somehow, tired, hair pulled back, music, no makeup, baggy sweatshirt. Nothing like the woman who used to dress up for her Tuesday nights. Hey, she said awkwardly. Hey, how are you? Good. You managing? Music. She hesitated. Can I ask you something? Sure. Did you know about? She trailed off, unable to finish. I looked at her for a long moment. Music. This was it. The question she'd probably been dying to ask since the day I filed. Did I know about the affair? Is that why? Music I left? I could tell her. Finally confirm her suspicions. Let her off the hook in a way. Make it about the affair instead of about her years of indifference. Give her a music explanation she could live with, but I didn't. Take care of yourself, I said, and walked past her toward the exit. I heard her call my name, but I didn't turn around. She'd never know if I knew. Music. She'd spend the rest of her life wondering if I left because I found out or because I simply stopped caring. And that ambiguity, that not knowing, was more powerful than any confrontation could ever be. People still ask me if I regret it. Music, if I wish I'd tried harder. Given her another chance. Been more forgiving. The answer is no. I tried plenty. I tried for 4 years while she gave her energy to someone else. What I regret is not choosing myself sooner. She bet on my silence. She bet I'd stay music out of fear, out of obligation, out of some misguided sense of duty to a marriage that only existed on paper. She was music wrong. I bet on myself and I won. I'm not angry anymore. Anger requires caring and I don't. I'm just free. Free from begging for scraps. Free from wondering what I did wrong. Free from living in a graveyard pretending it's a home. She lost her music safety net. I found my peace and I've never looked back. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, music, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.